Okay, so we are here today with Daniel Burkhart of Rock Steady Boxing over in Albany, and we're here with Judith Lubman of PD Active out of Berkeley, Oakland, and they specialize in helping individuals with Parkinson's disease. So I want to thank the two of you for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. Daniel, we'll start with you. Let's talk a little bit about your background and how you ended up with Rock Steady Boxing.
Sure. Thanks again for having us on the show.
Yeah,
really
of course.
Appreciate it. So how I got started originally was in 2015. Leslie Stahl did a 60 minutes segment on Rock Steady Boxing that her husband participated in. And so then I reached out to the local Rock Steady, which was Kim Woolley, that owns the Rock Steady Boxing in San Francisco. And I was skeptical myself, so I volunteered there for about a year in the classes. And once I saw the benefit with my own eyes, I wanted to bring it to the East Bay. So that's how I got involved with Rock Steady. From there, I went to Indianapolis, got certified, which was a 2-day training. And then I was working out of we started one in Concord, a Rock Steady, and then there was a demand for it in Albany. So that's how we got started in Albany.
Okay. And then Judith, you're with PD Active. And
yeah, PD Active is a nonprofit that was started 10 years ago with the idea of helping people who had Parkinson's, and particularly started around the dance program because it was hoping to find people who could help them with exercise. And last year, people started hearing about Rock Steady Boxing, and they came to PD Active, our members, and said we wanted to start a program. And that left it to me to try and find out how can we start a Rock Steady Boxing program in this East Bay corridor. And ultimately, I ended up finding the gym out in Concord. And I said, we have 25 people who said they're interested. Are you willing to come to our part of the East Bay? Because people from Oakland, Berkeley do not want to drive to Concord because they're already hard for them to drive.
Yeah.
So that's how Daniel and I met.
Okay. Okay, great. A little warm in here.
It is. It's
Yeah.
a little warm in here.
Okay, so what was, Daniel, for you, what was the training certification process like for you in getting this started?
Sure. So if you want to be an affiliate owner, you have to fly to Indianapolis and go to their headquarters and do their 2-day training. So it's about a 16-hour course. So they go over all aspects, educating you on Parkinson's, making you do the workout yourself. So I ran through a couple classes, just like I put my fighters through. And then they educate you on the business part of it as well when you're there.
Okay. How many people were there in attendance when you did the class?
A little over 50. Yeah, there's 6. They're like sold out 6 months in advance. It's a wait list to become a coach.
Okay. Now, with a little research, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's 486 Rock Steady Boxings nationwide. Is that correct?
488.
488.
Yeah,
So
it's
okay.
constantly growing.
Yeah.
Actually, 481.
481.
Yeah, they just updated me this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then PD Active, they also help fund Rock Steady Boxing to get started, right?
Initially, that's new for PD Active. It's a nonprofit, and we depend on our members for keeping the organization going. And let me just think. Sorry. What was the question you asked me?
So PD Active funding.
Oh, funding for PD
Yeah.
Active, beg your pardon. Yeah. So we decided last year that we could help programs get started. We could provide them with seed money. That meant that we could help. We didn't want to own the program. We didn't want to be responsible for the program, but we could help them. And so we offered to pay for half of the rental fee of the gym. And we did that for 6 months. And then now we have extended that arrangement with Daniel for another 6 months.
Okay.
And that's a way for him to get started.
And that's a lot of help because I know running the gym and the entire operation is not cheap and easy.
Absolutely. It definitely makes a difference not having as much overhead when you're getting started. So it's really appreciated.
Now, where can people with Parkinson's find these resources, and how can they find various Rock Steady gyms and PD Active? What's the easiest way?
Word of mouth. From sometimes, would you say that's right? Sometimes it's neurologists who recommend. Sometimes it's physical therapists who recommend. Sometimes it's friends who recommend. The one thing about Pediactive very recently is we're beginning to get known in the whole community as a resource, a place to go to find out where what classes or programs are available.
Now, as a nonprofit, does Pediactive go around funding various projects, or are they an organization themselves with their own classes, their own help sources?
Well, initially that was the way it was. That's the way it got started. But we now fund this class, and we fund something called Power, which was another one we started, and a chair yoga class for people who are no longer able to get down on the floor. And either we pay the instructor or we pay for the rental space. And that's new for us this last year.
Okay. And then, Daniel, you were kind enough to allow Sam and I to come in a few weeks ago. That was probably about a month ago now already. But we came in to watch one of the classes, and it was something that I did not know was around locally here. And I was really impressed and amazed. Everyone had a great time in that class. Yes. And just everything that you were doing, and I actually learned quite a bit. So let's get into some of the things that you do in the class and the reasons why. And the one that really stands out for me the most were the calling out of names of each member within the class.
Okay. I think you're talking about the get to know you,
Yeah.
possibly. Yeah. So in the beginning of every class, we do a get to know you question, just so that everyone has to be loud enough for the other fighters to hear them, working on voice projection, and also just breaking the ice, getting everyone to tell their different input. So an example would be, would you rather go to Alaska on a trip or Hawaii? And so that just starts a good conversation with everyone. So we do that. Kind of breaking down how the class works and different things that we do specifically for Parkinson's. We stretch in the beginning to deal with the stiffness, and really just to get your body ready to work out. So we stretch in the beginning, then we do some road work exercises, which can vary in different things, from a ball toss to doing lunges with a PVC pipe, which we use a PVC pipe behind the neck and stuff to work on posture, because Parkinson's posture is so important. And then we'll do different road work exercises, keeping a balloon in the air, hitting it with a noodle, things like that. I mean, and there's so many smiles in the classes, so it's just great to see how much fun the fighters have. We do really what gets the results is a forced intense exercise, and that's what all the studies have shown. So once you're boxing, these are boxing workouts. So I put them. What I've learned through doing the classes is it's better to do a circuit training versus just sitting on a station for a minute or two. They stay more engaged, and they push themselves more. So we do about 3 to 4 boxing rounds. Then after that, we might do some more bag work, do some ab work, and then we stretch at the end as well. Then we bring it in and do a cheer at the end. So lots of camaraderie.
Yeah, for sure. And my understanding is you come to this Rock Steady.
I come. My husband. The reason I got involved in it at all is 3 years ago my husband was diagnosed. I think he's your oldest person. He's 83.
I think there's another fighter that age also.
Okay.
He's one of the
And that was how I got involved, and that's how I joined the board of Pediactive. And so I've come, and I often observe. I've never participated, but what I think it's important to know is that not only is it movement, but it's voice as well. People are compromised by their voice and various movements, so that all these things that Daniel just described that he does are important. And community, being part of a community is extremely important also, because people get isolated when they get Parkinson's. And this makes them feel that they can be part of something and accomplish something they didn't think they could possibly do.
Yeah, you mentioned the voice, and one thing I did not know is that you can lose your voice with Parkinson's. And so, and that's one reason why during the class, especially during the ball toss,
Yes.
they were required to yell out the person's name while they're tossing the ball, and not just a matter of, hey, here, make sure you know a ball's coming at your way, but there was a deeper reason behind that.
Yes, and I do that with punches too. I'll say count your punches out loud. When we do the back and forth partner, you have to give them a number, say under 5, and you give the number to the partner, then they got to count the punches you give them out loud, and then vice versa. It goes both ways. So you're really working on your voice projection throughout the exercises. So that's important.
Now, toward the end of the class, you put everyone through a circuit training. Now, what would be the difference between having individual, like breaking up the class into individual exercises as opposed to a circuit training?
Just the intensity. People, I mean, just like any of us, we don't push most people don't push themselves as much as they would in a group setting. So if I put people on stations, and I've observed it at teaching classes, people will, if they're at a station, they'll end up stopping, looking around to see what their other fellow fighters are doing, because they're not engaged. So they're just not getting that forced, intense exercise.
So the circuit keeps them moving along.
It keeps them moving and engaged is really important.
Yeah, and you had them running around this whole gym too, from the what's it called, with the straight line rope, and they were going up and under.
Yeah, the ladders. I have them doing the rope to the bob underneath it.
Yeah.
So it's like practicing avoiding punches.
Yeah, you had the
balance,
bags.
Yeah.
Balance is one of the most crucial parts of being trained for Parkinson's, because people fall.
And learning how to fall right.
So they have to learn to fall, and they have to learn how to better manage their balance. So,
Yes.
So I think that those things that Daniel does in that class really help people to feel that they are grounded, because they feel they're not secure generally when they walk in here.
Yeah, and one of the things that some of the information from headquarters was, it's like when you're doing a boxing workout, you're working on balance, hand-eye coordination, speed of movement, agility, muscle power, mental focus, and rhythm. Because rhythm's another thing that's important with Parkinson's. Like music can even help.
And that's
you
why
walk
the dance classes
more efficiently.
are important.
Okay. Now, do you do dance classes here, or is that
No, that's a separate, completely
But that's the
separate.
reason why.
Yeah,
okay.
that was, in fact, that was one of the earliest classes to be developed for helping people with Parkinson's, which was about 15 years ago. Something in Brooklyn, Marc Morris Dance for Parkinson's, started out doing a routine. It's in its own strange way. It's not so it seems strange to say that a dance class and a boxing class could have something in common, but they do.
They do.
They do.
You want to know how to fight, it's good to know how to dance. So you're working on moving your hips, everything. It's dancing.
Yeah.
Just get to throw punches as well.
Yeah. Now, how do you try to change? Now, every class that you do is not the same, right? Do you have variety to it, or
Yes.
How do you focus on changing that variety for your clients?
Well, a variety keeps people engaged. So I'm always changing it up. If I'm going to have some classes, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to have them do a roll, then to get on top of a ground and pound, hit the ground and pound. So I focus on making sure that, every workout's different, but also I'll focus on certain things. Like I'll tell them, hey, you're going to do a lot of footwork today. So a lot of footwork exercises in the road work as well as in the boxing portion. Or, focusing on more punches. A big thing is now that everyone's conditioned a lot better than they were, say, even 6 months ago, they really want technique. So now I'm really working on technique of how to rotate your whole body in the punch, not just your arms. So they're more engaged with technique now, too.
Okay. Now, how many people are affected in the U.S. by Parkinson's?
1 in 300.
1 in
1 in
300.
300 by the time they're in their early 60s.
Okay,
So that means a million. There are about a million Americans who have been who are diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Yeah, there's over a million. I think it's 1.5 actually.
and that's diagnosed, right?
Diagnosed.
Is there a possibility that there's a lot more undiagnosed?
So it's 1.5 million in the United States. So
Okay.
that's not even worldwide.
Well, he says 1.5. I thought it was 1 million. But
No, yeah.
we have different. But yes, it is possible, and often people have, and I can speak from my own personal experience with my husband. The neurologist said that he probably had Parkinson's for perhaps 10 years before, but because of his particular set of symptoms, it didn't really show, and he exercised all the time. And since exercise is the only thing that they know slows the progression, there's no medication might mitigate the symptoms, but it doesn't slow the progression. So consequently, yes, there are undoubtedly many more people who have Parkinson's that it hasn't been diagnosed.
Now, this might be a tough question to answer, but what's the diagnosis process like? I mean, like to try to catch it so early on. I mean, what are some symptoms
I
that?
guess I could speak to that. Should I?
You can, and I've.
Yeah, I'll tell you the first thing. The first thing that's often happens is people lose their sense of smell. And if you don't know that as part of Parkinson's, you probably would never think about it. The second thing is probably your handwriting gets smaller. Again, you might not think about that. But then you start getting stiffer. And that was how, in my family, I noticed that my husband he said, my feet feel like they're stuck on the floor. He said, I feel like I can't lift my feet off the floor. And then, but again, there is no specific test for Parkinson's. You go to a neurologist, the neurologist has you walk, and they think, and because there's something known as the Parkinson shuffle. People don't pick their feet off the floor. I think it's because they don't feel grounded or balanced, or their muscle, it's a muscle issue. So they're kind of dragging with their head down and scuffing a bit. That's a very common, so once you know, you can walk down the street and you can say, oh, that guy has Parkinson's,
Yeah.
and you just know it.
Okay, and so that's one of the exercises that you have your fighters do here is hopping back and forth over a rope.
Yeah, I've done, yes.
Yeah, and also the ladder too, because they have to hop in and out of the ladder.
Yep, they're
Yeah.
working on their balance
Yeah.
and footwork. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about PD Active. How long's the organization been around? And
It's been around. It was started 10 years ago, and as I said before, it was started because of the dance program. And there were 2 dance teachers who wanted to do this program, and they needed to set up a nonprofit. And it kind of limped along for quite a number of years. It added some yoga classes and a support group, but it wasn't until 2 years ago that it really started to build and to grow. And now in our list of classes, not all PD classes, but PD active classes, but all classes, just in the Berkeley, Oakland, El Cerrito, Albany corridor, we have 20 classes or opportunities that people with Parkinson's can go. They can go every single day to a different activity.
wow. And what's your role there?
I'm on the board. It's 100% volunteer.
And so you said it's really grown in the last 2 years, right? Membership-wise, what kind of growth are we talking about?
Well, I can just tell you that since we were just getting out our annual appeal, that last year we sent out 750 letters, and this year we're sending out 960. And those are of people who've been added to our database. Now, not all of those have Parkinson's. Some of their family members who have Parkinson's. But so that's a significant growth in a year's time. But I think what's happened is that the organization is getting known, as I said earlier, through the community as a place where they can go to get information, go to support group for care partners, have doctors come and give lectures. And so it has grown to serve the community. And our goal now is we'd like to be able to, so there are many people who still are working in the workforce, and they can't come. This class meets at noon, and they can't come to noon classes. And so there are many people who are interested to find out if there could be some classes that are done at a different time of day. And then there's a problem of people who've been recently diagnosed, and they go into kind of shock when they get this thing. So we're trying to see if we can set a mentoring program. And the last one is a bit harder, and that is, how do we reach a bigger community? How do we reach people who aren't getting good medical care and don't know that they could come and exercise and improve their status? So that's our goal.
Okay. And do you feel that there's not enough awareness out there on Parkinson's?
Well, we're in a very unique community, and people from outside the community tell us that this Berkeley, Oakland, East Bay corridor is unusual in the amount. We have people coming from San Francisco to go to classes here because there's more available here than there is in San Francisco. But around the country, I think it's growing, but growing very slowly. I mean, I think Rock Steady is kind of hot now. It's kind of it is sort of, and it's getting a lot of publicity, and and I see constantly new classes starting around the country and now abroad too.
Correct. Yep.
So that brings awareness, and people are very curious about how can boxing, and they're women. I think particularly. Do you find women particularly? I find women say, "I'm not going to box."
I've had women tell me I thought boxing was barbaric, and here I am boxing.
Right.
So something they never did their whole life.
Right.
And inside of a gym that has an MMA fighter as one of the owners, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas
Tyson
some of the
Griffin.
men would say, "I never thought I'm going to go to dance," and over half the class is dance are men. So people are motivated for different reasons. I should say Daniel has one of his fighters who comes, and she says, "Every time I punch the bag, I'm fighting Parkinson's."
That's great.
Yeah, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of them feel that. They feel there's not much they can do, so they'll just whack at the bag. Is that right?
Yeah, one of the fighters was doing the ground and pound, and I said, do 4 hits per round. And she kept hitting it one time, and I'm like, "Oh, you're good. You can move on." She's like, "I know what I'm fighting." So she said that to me.
We might be talking about the same person.
I think it is. Yeah.
So where do you see Rock Steady Boxing in the future, Daniel?
I see it growing. This location in particular, I see it getting more classes, more coaches. It's getting spread. The word's getting around, yes, because of all the publicity. I really just see it growing. I mean, it's a community of fighters, and the camaraderie's there. I listened to a guy that just spoke at the breakfast in Indianapolis for Rock Steady. He's a fighter, and he said, and hear me. He said, "I did say this." He said, getting Parkinson's was a blessing, because he says the community he has now is something he never had. He never had a workout routine his whole life. He said, "When I came, I was an old fat white guy, and I didn't know how I was going to be accepted." He's like, "I didn't know if I was going to get made fun of, or if they'd accept me or not." And he says, "Now I've got a community, and it's just made a big difference on how people look at their days. They have something to look forward to, and that's the most important thing. Is you have a lot of life left to live, so enjoy it."
Yeah. Now, what were some of the challenges that you faced when you first opened up, and then we'll get into after the challenges. How do you market this to really bring in more people?
Yeah, some of the challenges is making sure you have the right fit with a gym owner, because I sublet through the gym here. And I would even like.
Were many gym owners really open to the idea?
I approached a couple in Concord, and no, in a way they weren't. One guy took 2 weeks to say, "Yes, you can be here," and then that kind of was off-putting for me. If it took you that long, I don't know if I want to be there. And then it's really just about, I'd say the challenges is working with someone that has the same mindset as you. the same goals. And so I actually would like to speak at headquarters to coaches coming in, letting them know, like, you need to really make sure, a business partner, it's a relationship, they say it's like a marriage. So you really got to have a good relationship with the gym owner, and make sure it's your program, and that that it's clear that this is your program and they run their gym separate, so that there's no questions about finances.
Okay, so how about for someone who is looking to open up a Rock Steady? What's, the number one tip you would give them in trying to find a gym owner that's open to that?
I'd actually lean towards a martial arts facility versus a gym, because of the mindset of martial artists is a little more open-minded and giving. It's because of the way martial arts work, versus a gym, versus, say, a CrossFit, because of the mindset. The mindset really needs to be you want to work with people and help people. So really, you need to find someone that's got that mindset.
Okay.
When I called Indiana way in the beginning to try and find out, do we first try and find a gym? Do we find a trainer? Do we send somebody? Do we pay for someone to go to Indiana? And I said, what kind of person should we be looking for? Should it be a fighter, a trainer? What? He said, someone who's compassionate, because no one should do this kind of work if they don't feel compassion and want to help people.
Okay, that's good advice.
Yeah,
So
and I agree, and that's basically what I'm getting in a roundabout way. That's what it should be with a gym owner too, or a martial arts facility. You need someone that has compassion, because if you're doing this for the right reasons, you're going to have compassion. So you guys need to be aligned with that mindset.
Now, we were talking last time that to get certified for Rock Steady, you have to go to Indiana.
Not now.
Not now.
No, if you want to be a coach at an affiliate, we can get you certified through an online program. If you want to own an affiliate, you do have to still go to Indianapolis to get the certification.
Okay, but they can go online if they're going to join a Rock Steady as a certified trainer.
Correct. So if someone were wanting to be a coach for Rock Steady Boxing Albany, you would work with me, and then I would, in a sense, sponsor you, that saying yes, they're going to coach here, and then they would go through the online certification.
Okay, so for someone that's interested in coaching, should they come and can they come volunteer and help you out to begin with?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I did, and I'd actually recommend it just to make sure it's a good fit for you. And then also get experience with working with people with Parkinson's. A big thing is just being patient is a big thing. I mean, I guess that's the biggest thing when you're working with people. You're dealing with people that freeze. You're dealing with people that have never boxed, that are all different levels age-wise. So that's a big part of it.
Okay. Now, how can people get involved with PD Active? Volunteering, donating, helping?
Well, obviously, of course, donating, because then that makes it possible for us to contribute more to the classes. But mainly it's participating in classes, whether it's support groups, it's forming community connection, because it's so important. People, when they have Parkinson's, all of a sudden their worlds frequently change. There are things that they used to be able to do they can't do anymore. Sometimes they have to give up driving. They can't go to they can't work necessarily the way they used to. And so forming the community is really important. And then they exchange information among themselves, because neurologists are not known to be very helpful or informative. They tell you what the situation is, and then you're kind of floating on your own. And also, you have to remember that none of this exercise is covered by insurance. So all these classes that people go to, they have to pay for it. And so it becomes really important to people how they're going to spend their time and how they're going to use this precious time they have to make themselves better. And this seems to be one of the places now that is going to help.
Are there grants or sources available for people with Parkinson's so that they can get financial help to do these classes?
We have nothing. It's something we've talked about. It's quite complicated because how you decide who. I mean, we have limited resources. We don't. We have one grant which is for specifically for the yoga program. The rest is all from funds that are donated from the community. We don't get any funds from national organizations. And that certainly is an issue about people who can't afford to do it. As I said, it is complicated because how do you decide who gets it and how much they get, and are they truly qualified? We haven't dealt with that yet. I don't know of any organization that, you mean like a
Not that I'm
scholarship
aware of.
or a...
Yeah, it's scholarship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have, all I can say is we've thought about it and we are concerned about it because we know that certain parts of the community are able to do these, and there are other parts of the community that are not able to do it. And we would like to make that possible.
Now, PD Active, Berkeley, Oakland, is the organization bigger than just Berkeley,
No,
Oakland?
No, I mean, it's bigger in the sense that people come from Hayward or they come from El Cerrito and a few come from Richmond, but basically it is that corridor running down that are the people who are coming to participate, yeah.
Are there any future plans to expand that?
No.
No.
We'd like to make what we're doing better. We'd like to be able to get to other parts, the very question you addressed, getting to other parts of the community that we are not reaching. But no, I mean, we feel that we should do what we do and do it better. But we have no desire to. There's an organization out in Walnut Creek that covers the Diablo Valley.
Mount Diablo.
And so there's one down in Palo Alto. There's another one down in San Jose. So there are these local organizations. But I don't know any. I'm told that there's none that is doing as much as we are. I hope that's true.
Well, and I'd like to speak to that too, because we reached out to Mount Diablo. I've done presentations out there. PD Active is the most involved Parkinson's group that I've seen. The other ones, they'll come to the meetings, but they don't ever really participate in the programs offered. So I was surprised by that as well.
Okay. So let's talk about individually, for the two of you, how participating in PD Active and Rock Steady Boxing has actually affected your own personal life. So, Judith?
Well, I'm just smiling because being married to someone with Parkinson's, that affected my life. We're very lucky because my husband is not badly affected, and he is 83, so it's not surprising that you're getting older anyway. But I was retired. I had not thought I was going to get involved in business again. But when I realized that this organization needed help, I basically took my former skills in business and brought them to the organization. And I have devoted the last 2 years, almost full time, to making it work. And now I feel we've done that, and now I'm ready to try and find other people who are going to cooperate and help and do it.
Well, I have to say, I mean, thank you for all you do. I know you're impacting a lot of lives, not just your own and your husband's, but a lot of people. And then, Daniel, how's having a Rock Steady gym or boxing really affected you in your own personal life?
It's affected me positively. I always wanted to be of service, and so to be able to work with people and help people, it's very gratifying. And just to see that in these classes, the smiles on their faces, I know that for an hour and a half out of the day, they're not thinking about Parkinson's. They're just thinking about having a good time. And originally when I got started, it's like, personally, I was going through a divorce and used to having, watching my kids 7 days a week. And so it's like, well, I don't want to sit around and pout. I want to go do something. So being able to fill my time with helping out other people, it's changed my life for the positive. It's just been such a beneficial thing. I think everyone sees the changes in me. You watch all the YouTube videos of inspiration, do things you're passionate about, do things you love, and it's like that was my goal is I want to do something where I'm excited to go to work, and it's like, and I'm able to say I've got that now. So that's huge. You can't pay for that. So I'm really thankful.
So let's talk about some of the before and like after with some of your clients. You said there's been huge improvements in just their physical capabilities after even just a few weeks of attending these classes.
Yes, I mean, there's people that when I start off with the assessment, one fighter, he couldn't even, I asked you to take 2 jumps forward. He couldn't get his feet off the ground. He can jump rope. He's able to do the whole workout. A lot of people on their first day, they can't even complete one workout because they're just not conditioned. You know, so I'm asking you to do a lot. I'm asking you to constantly move. I'm asking you to learn punches and use your voice. So I'm really asking you to do a lot. Other things is people aren't freezing as much, which is huge. Another thing is just the confidence and the quality of life is so much improved. You know, they come in here, and I don't know if it's because of the process going through being told you got Parkinson's or the medical. A lot of people want to qualify themselves, and it's like I tell them right away, you're going to be in this program. I just need to know what level you're at. So even that right there, they're like, I get it, I belong somewhere. So I'd say people walking. One guy was conditioned. He said he went to San Francisco, got on BART, was able to walk 1.5 miles. He told me, he's like, I haven't done that in 3 years. So even that, he's like, I was able to go to the city with my wife, walk 1.5 miles, and I was okay. So those are just a few of them, and there's a lot more.
There's such a variety of symptoms. There's no one classic example. I mean, there are many, many different aspects of Parkinson's.
Well, and actually, one other good example is one of the fighters fell out of his bed one night, and we work on getting up. And he was able to, he's trying to get his wife, she couldn't wake up. Somehow he got his cell phone, tried to call, no one was picking up. So then he just took a breath, and he was able to get up. And he said when he got up, he said, I did it, because he learned how to get up. Because some people come here saying, my goal is just to know that if I fall, I'm able to get up on my own. Because they gave me stories if I fell at a party, they had to call the EMTs because no one could get me up. So just getting up off the ground is an accomplishment.
Wow. And everyone has a different level too. It affects everyone differently.
That's right.
So
Yes.
so it takes a certain, for you as a trainer, to be able to identify where everyone's at in their own personal, with how they battle Parkinson's, and being able to adjust the workout for them is, a whole task in itself.
It is, and right now I have all levels in the classes. So a big part of it is making sure the class flows consistently. So I am aware of the ones that are a level 3 or 4 that are slower, and I have to pay attention to them even more to make sure that if they're freezing, I can go help them unfreeze. It's just making sure the class can flow with the different levels. But it's really, with the 3s and 4s, the more progressed, it's just patience. I mean, that sounds simple, but, in the moment, you're running a class of 15, 12 people. You got to have patience. You got the music going. You got all these people running around you, passing them. So it's a big part of it's patience. And I really can't stress that enough for anyone that wants to get involved with Rock Steady, is you need to have patience.
And currently, right now, you're training someone too.
We got one coach certified, and I'm looking to hire another coach here in the next month or so. So we're looking for coaches and more volunteers.
Okay. Now, what's the best way for them to contact you and contact the gym?
You can reach out to me on the website, rocksteadyboxingalbany.com, or I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and then just also my business card, which I can give you guys, and you can put in the description.
Yeah, perfect. And then for PD Active?
The best way is pdactive.org, and it will direct you to whether you want to talk to me directly, or you can send an email inquiry.
And I would assume that's where they can find all the information on the various classes around the Bay Area.
Yeah, and we have a monthly newsletter that goes out. And because the class schedules sometimes change, and we offer certain forum with a doctor, a speaker. So every month we put out a newsletter, and if people want to be on to get that newsletter, they should just let us know going on pdactive.org and say, I want to receive the newsletter.
And if they want to donate, can they donate directly online?
They certainly can.
Okay, perfect. And so that's pdactive.org.
That's right.
Okay, and then rocksteadyboxingalbany.com.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, I want to thank you too for being on the podcast here,
That was fun.
and we'll go ahead and link up the description and all your contact information
Okay.
across all the different channels. And any final words you want to add to the podcast here?
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate having us on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
It's a big deal to me. Having, people, the social media is huge. Instagram and Facebook helps. Another thing that really helped too is Claudine Wong came from Channel 2 News and did a segment on us. And that really helped spread the word too. Her mother-in-law was in the Concord class, and so she's seen personally the growth. Just all the people that have taken time to spread the word, I really want to thank them. Another source, if people hear this podcast, is my friend Freddie Silva owns 3 Rock Steadies in the Peninsula area in San Jose, and they could reach out to him too. So it's really just people want to find a Rock Steady. It's rocksteadyboxing.org. Just Google Rock Steady Boxing, and you can find a location by your zip code.
Okay, and send me your friend's website for his, and we'll go ahead and link him up as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
This has been fun to get to know Daniel and to see the program grow. It's very exciting because just a year ago, I was visiting gyms around the Bay Area, looking to see how could we possibly get this started. And so I'm very pleased that this has worked out. Thank you.
I'm glad. Yeah, we'll do whatever we can to help and spread the
Good.
word.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.